Go Bong.
So, hello everyone. Good morning. Before we start, let's offer a short prayer. Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. In the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, we thank you for everything. In these trying times, we can only cling to you for strength. Thank you for keeping us safe. We know that everything happens for a reason, but in the end, it's all for the best. We adore you, we worship you, and we trust your divine plan for us. Bless this day, send your Holy Spirit that we may open our hearts and our minds in whatever we're about to learn. Amen. And Holy Spirit, amen. So wonderful morning, everyone. I'm Bong Chua, team leader of Keller Williams Manila Bay. Welcome to a 1.5 hour of learning of how bad will COVID-19 affect real estate. And it is an honor for me to introduce our speaker, the operating principal of Keller Williams Manila Bay, chairman and co-founder of Habitas Development, a development management company. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alejandro Manala. Good morning, sir. The floor is now yours.
Good morning, Bong. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us on a nice and bright and shiny Saturday morning. I cannot say na ano. Thank you for braving the traffic because everybody's in our homes. Anyway, we have about 551 registrants. Thank you very much. Even though we were able to post this only last Thursday, and I think the title got you. How bad will COVID-19 affect real estate? Everybody's looking at that, how bad it will be. And what I'd like to really uh, was this to what I'd like to share with you is the hope that we really have. I'm not discussing this to show you how really bad it is, but how can we get through this? How can we survive, or how can we thrive? You see, nobody was prepared for this. No government was prepared for this. No leader was prepared for this. No country was prepared for this magnitude of crisis. The good thing is that, I mean, for us, for the Philippines, medyo sanay tayo sa crisis. We've had crisis after crisis, and somehow that practice was able to uh, get us through those other challenges. And this is the key on how we will be surviving this. For the past few weeks, I've had several webinars, and I've also been interviewed in some webinars. And I found several questions that were quite common, or those which were frequently asked. And I've also watched some webinars wherein some people were uh, unnecessarily pessimistic, and some were unrealistically optimistic. However, of course, we cannot blame them. But what I've observed is that there's a lack in the basis for such feelings. Why am I so pessimistic about this? Of course, if you read all the news, whether fake or not, it will really make you scared and think that we're doomed already. Now, there are also a lot of news, and there are also a lot of people who are overly optimistic and positive. Well, that's good, but it has to be on the more realistic side. So, what will be your basis for that? And that's the reason why uh, I have decided to share this opinions with our friends in the industry. So let's start with this. So how bad will COVID-19 affect real estate? Hopefully not that bad. Now, it will really depend on, nobody knows when this will end. Only God knows. It will depend on the people on the streets. Actually, it will depend on the people off the streets. The longer we stay at home, the shorter will be our period of flattening this curve. So I hope everybody cooperates with what we're seeing now. Sometimes it's really depressing when all of us are here are staying at home, while others are going out and just simply don't care. Now, uh, here are some of the questions that I have gathered for the past few weeks. No? But I think what we should really ask ourselves is what is really the situation right now for us? How is it affecting real estate? But real estate, not necessarily in general, because not all of us are practicing the whole gamut of real estate. Some are in industrial, most of us are in residential, a lot of people are in project selling. Another sector is specializing on brokerage. So, for us, how is it affecting your real estate? Your real estate. To be more specific, when you're involved, let's say, I think majority of us are into a residential project selling. How are the residential units doing? Long term or short term, office leasing, short term contract, working spaces. How long will this last? I don't know. I don't know if you know. Nobody knows. But what I hope to achieve in this presentation is that when this ends, when we get to flatten the curve, when everybody gets to flatten the curve, we have a relatively faster time of recovery, and I'll show you why in the next few slides. What's going to happen in the market, to the market? How should I prepare? How should you prepare? What if the US and the Europe cases worsens? And who will be getting the bigger hit? What sector will be getting the bigger hit? When will things get back to normal? I think personally, it will never get back to the normal, to the old normal that we have. We will have a new normal. Uh, just like before, what's a new normal? Just like before 9/11, there were no scanners, there were no body scanners, body X-rays in the airports. You don't have to bring out your laptops outside your carry-on bags. You don't have to remove your shoes. But now, but then after that, after 9/11, it became the new normal. So I think we will be going through our lives the usual way, but with just an additional step, another procedure. More people will be more conscious about being healthy. Number one, more people would be more conscious about uh, uh, dealing with other people. Now, another thing, the general and more common sense perceptions. Of course, market demand will go down and shrink. For the past month, yes, definitely, uh, the transactions went down because we are restricted from movements. But is there still demand? Of course, everybody needs a house. Sales will go down. Sales has gone down tremendously. Sales have gone down significantly. But for now, it's still too early to say that people have stopped buying real estate. It's just that the transactions have been on a halt because we are prevented from doing our viewings, doing our site inspections, and having personal transactions. But I still know a lot of people who have been closing closing sales online, especially with developers who were prepared to do online transactions. And then another perception will be OFWs will be returning, and there will be a lot of defaults or a lot of fire sales. A lot of people think there will be a lot of foreclosures and prices will drop and tourism will be badly hit and then there will be massive layoffs. Well, at least this is what we read in the news every day. For now, we don't really know what to believe, fake or that's why whatever you read, don't pass. What I suggest is don't pass it on immediately. Try to validate, research, Google it before you pass it on because spreading negative news will just produce a self-fulfilling prophecy. You want to be right, you want to be right, and then tell people, see, I told you it's going to crash. I told you it's going to go down. I would rather be wrong in telling people that it's going a more positive outlook than be right and tell in predicting a crash, but in a more realistic manner. Okay. Uh, let me share with you. Let me share with you the experience that I've had for the past 31 years, and I've been through three major crises, uh, which the Philippines has experienced. I joined in I joined real estate in 1989. So that's the blue arrow. This blue arrow, and it was I didn't know. Of course, I was new. It was on its way down. It was on its way down. That was in '89. You think this is worse? Do you think being locked down is bad? In '99 to '91, this is where we had three coup d'etats. We had the three coup d'etats and we had between 89 to 91 we had 12-hour brownouts almost every day. There was no water, was a big problem. Interest rates were very high. uh, Dollar exchange was very high. There was the Pinatubo eruption, there was the earthquake, there was the Ormoc there was the Ormoc tsunami, and then the bases left. You can think of all the man-made and natural calamities that you can think of. We experienced it during that time. And what was real estate? We didn't have international market during that time in real estate. We didn't have emails. We didn't have online. We didn't have cell phones. So, and that lasted for until before the elections in '92. Okay, and then so after the elections, then we started to pick up. And but that crisis was just domestic. Was just domestic. During that time, and this is very important. During that time, the projects that we were selling had payment terms of either cash only. This is very important. Either cash only or reservation now. 30% down payment is payable within 30 days. And then the 70% payable in 24 months, just deferred cash. Nobody was doing bank financing then. No one was buying properties through bank financing. So the 24 months is coterminous with the construction period, which actually can build a 30-story building in 24 months. So uh, so after that crisis, we enjoyed until almost end of '96, and then it started the. So from domestic crisis, now we go Asian. It was the Asian crisis, '97, then up to sometime '99. Okay, now again that was a very bad crisis, especially with the five countries involved in the ASEAN: Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines. Indonesia was really hit bad. They had economic and political crisis during that time, but they were able to recover really fast. Now, uh, so that was Asian na, Asian na yung crisis natin. Now, that was also uh, that became that came in really quick, really abrupt, and people were really scared during that time. But then again, the question maybe that you have in mind: Did the prices drop? Did the prices drop? No, it did not. Again, during this time, but there was an adjustment. There was an adjustment. The sizes of the units then became smaller. The market adjusted. The developers adjusted to the market. The sizes of the units then became smaller to make it affordable, and then the payment terms became the 30% down, adjusted in several months, and then the balance of 70% was stretched now to 5 years. Deferred cash pa rin. Still deferred cash. Still, nobody was doing, very few, nobody was doing the bank financing. We still have that small market here in the Philippines, mostly the high-end Chinese buyers, local Chinese. So the good thing about that is the projects were already pre-sold and not through bank financing, pre-sold before they were even constructed. So when the time came that there were delays in payments, they just had to adjust the delay in construction. So here, the developers adjusted by making smaller, more affordable units and stretching the payment term. And then, okay, we after this, so we survived that crisis. Actually, some people also thrived in this during that time. And then there was the global financial crisis. Medyo this time we're practiced already. We were growing in a very prudent manner, slow but sure, slow but sure. Uh, the world the world really suffered the global financial crisis, but the Philippines, although the economy went down, but we were still positive. We were still positive, about positive 2.3, I think. Okay, so during this time, uh, this was the time when wherein there were more people who got into smaller units, really smaller units, the units that we have now. In fact, now you have 15 square meter units, which are for usually dorms, which before never heard of yan. Never heard of yung mga 15 square meter. Except for maybe sometime in the late 90s, there was a developer who came up with a 9 square meter studio unit. Crazy, but nakalusot yan. Anyway, so 2008, medyo nakalusot. So this is Philippine growth. How does it compare with? So those were the three crises that we had. No, now this is a slide from this is one of my favorite slides from David Lee Chu. Even he said the Philippine economy and Philippine real estate grew amidst very bad historical events. The three events that I mentioned to you were just the major ones, but every year we had uh, a lot of bad incidents here. But still, Philippine economy was very resilient. The people were very resilient, and real estate was very resilient. Now that's a world GDP. How does it compare with the Philippines? See, do we always go with the world performance? You see what happened to us in 89, 90 when we dipped. We're still doing the normal thing, and then during the Asian crisis, tayo lang. The Asian was the only ones affected. But in 2008, the world dipped, but Asian and the Philippines, positive pa rin tayo. Hopefully, this is what I personally hope for. Na, na people will tell me, no, that was different. That was Asian in the world. Now, this one, everybody will be affected. I know, you know. Uh, I said, I'm just hoping that there will be some shields, and I'm trying to look for it in the following slides. Now, ASEAN versus the world. How does ASEAN react towards as against the world performance? The blue line is the world pattern, while the five colored ones is ASEAN. Okay, during the ASEAN crisis, tayo lang yung tinamaan, and the world was still steady. Uh, but in 2008, when the world dipped, ASEAN was already, mas steady tayo. I hope this one will happen again. Yesterday, last Monday, and also yesterday, we had a webinar with some of the biggest developers in Asia, and then last Friday with the world president of FIABC, which is an international uh, real estate organization. And we were discussing what's happening in their countries, what are the policies that they've implemented to address this crisis. Like, for example, Malaysia, I think, automatically has a 6-month moratorium on all loans, car loans, and housing loans. You don't even have to apply, that's automatic. And credit card debts were, uh, what's this? Converted into low interest bearing loans. Okay, yesterday we had a briefing with the world president who gave us a more macro view of what's happening in the other parts of the world. Now, in uh, late last year, they said in 2020, Asia will have the world's largest GDP. That was a very that was a very positive prediction. And they said 2020 Asia's GDP will overtake the GDP of the rest of the world combined. But then recently, this was last April 15, COVID-19 pandemic and the Asia Pacific region lowest growth since the 1960s. Yes, this might be true. However, we may have the lowest growth, but we are still doing better than the rest of the world. Now, real estate growth as against our GDP. And we got this from 1999 now. You see, do we react immediately whenever the economic performance goes down? Medyo delayed. The real estate is always the last to react, or most of the time it's the last to react. Like right now, what happened to your stocks? Maybe about as early as about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. But real estate prices hasn't moved. We are very active right now. We are actually very active in looking for properties for our investors for development. And we went back to the property owners that we have been negotiating with pre-COVID, and we were asking them for the price if they have if they're considering already our lower offer, but they're still firm on their prices. So I think, and not unless somebody is really in dire need of cash right now, they still want to hold on to this, and they're still hoping for pre-COVID prices. You see, in 2008, we've already dipped, but real estate uh, reacted really late. Inflation rate, we just had the highest in September 2018. Now, what's unique about the Philippines? What are our demand drivers? Uh, Basically, the two legs, which is the BPOs and the OFWs. But we have to consider the population, the young population of the Philippines, which is now about 25.7 years old. No? That's our median age, and about 51% of our population is in the range of the working age. Now, also the BPOs, the growing BPOs. There's a fear about how will how will the crisis affect the BPOs. You can do your research, and there are a lot of news and other articles about the possibility of BPOs still growing. Maybe not at the pace that we want to, but still growing. The English-speaking countries who would want to slash their budgets, would have to outsource some of their jobs to a where they can get cheaper labor, and of course, uh, we are offering that. There's also another webinar that I saw, wherein there will be a new wave of BPOs, and it doesn't have to be in offices. This will be maybe in your homes. Individuals right now, I know personally, I know a friend from the US who's running uh, a company that provides virtual assistants to realtors in the US, and they have thousands of realtors depending on Philippine VAs or virtual assistants. And they get paid from something from $800 to $1,000 working from home. Some of them are not even college graduates. You see, some of them are even making more money than those working in the BPOs and the offices. Working from home, all you need is a laptop and Wi-Fi. So that could be that's the BPO trend. Now OFWs, we have OFWs who were very instrumental in helping us survive that 2008 crisis, because we still had dollars coming in. Okay, now the BPO pushing the office demands was greatly supplemented by the POGOs recently, who took up a lot of the office space demand. Now, right now, are they going out? I don't think so. I mean, personally, they may still be growing, not at the rate that we want to. If they were really supposed to be kicked out, dapat matagal na. If they were supposed to be really pulled out, dapat last year pa. Will our government welcome them? With feelers being sent by the president, he needs all the money that he can get. So I don't think this will be a good time for him to take out this pogos. Okay. Another growing leg for the past 3-4 years was tourism. But then tourism is the one which is badly hit, not only here. Tourism and hospitality has been the one badly hit, not only here, but worldwide. Worldwide. Uh, Hotel occupancy rates are down to single digits. Uh, Staycations, of course, wala. Airbnb is really badly hit. Uh, short-term leases sa condominiums. Of course, the administration of the condominiums no longer allow new guests. So suspended lahat ng lease muna ngayon, especially short-term lease na. So, but that tourism was supposed to bring in the demand for our real estate also. See, there's the population by gender. The peak people start buying. The working people start buying from 30 to 49 years old, peaking at 45. So you see this curve, this working class, the young people working, that will be your supply of buyers. That will be your supply of buyers in the next 15, 20 years. You just have to have the right offer. You just have to have the right project. We just have to capture their market, know what they want, where they are going. Now, so yun what's this, size ng working class market, no? Now with the overseas Filipino workers, where are they? 85% of them are working within a 3 to 4 hour flight, which means in Asia. That includes Western Asia, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other countries here. No? So 85.5% of the Blues work within Asian countries within a 2 to 3 hour flight, and also 20%, actually 20% of the OFWs deployed are in healthcare, and these are the ones in North America, in Europe. Okay, so right now, yeah, let's say North America and Europe is suffering from increasing COVID cases. The Filipino world health workers are the ones helping them right now. This is the time wherein the people look at health workers now as heroes. They have a different perception of health workers. They are more appreciated now, and I think starting this time, they will look at the health workers with a lot of respect. Really heroes. Of the deployment, where are they? Asia, Middle East. Mostly Asia, Middle East. So you already have an idea which markets to go to, which markets to target. Now you just have to see what type of job and what is the affordability of this people. So you can just match the projects that you can offer them. Now in 2015, some of the bigger developers had added an additional layer in their subsidiaries. From the super high end, they went down now to the more affordable class. Like, for example, let's say Ayala have their, from the Avita to the Amaya to the Vela Vita. See, whoever imagined that Ayala would be going to that class, because they have to adapt to the market. They have to shift and adjust to the market. Of the blue cash remittances, the good thing also is that aside from the land-based OFWs, we actually dominate the sea-based OFWs. Our seafarers are the ones running the ships all over the world. That's also a very good market. They have their money intact. Okay. Of the blue remittances, you see it's very high in the US, but also a lot of this, because of the volume, a lot of this were from the health workers who are making a lot of money. That's why they're bigger remittances here. Also, most of the developers, you see from 2014, most of the developers who went around the world selling properties, And a lot of them, of course, the agents stayed more in the US doing their road shows and selling to our kababayans there who are investing here. So part of this remittances really go to real estate. Now, the rest would be from Asia and Europe. Of course, in Europe, there are also our health workers. Uh, but you see now there's a big effect in the US in terms of COVID cases. But as I've mentioned earlier, our health workers going to have stable jobs even after this crisis, especially the health workers. That's also a good market to, to consider. OFW remittances per region, again, USA, Asia, USA, Asia, Middle East. Now, how did the COVID uh, influence the remittances? The latest figure that we have regarding OFW remittances was January 2020, and we compare it with the COVID cases in that country. Right now, as of April 2020, April 8th, actually to be exact, US, well, they contributed 43% of the OFW remittances. They also have 32% of the COVID cases. But then again, I have to repeat this. Uh, they have a lot of cases, but I think our Filipino health workers will still remain to be a good market for that. And then you combine Asia and Middle East, COVID cases is zero point 0.8 and 9, so that's less than 10% uh, of the total COVID cases. So this is just the detail of that summary. Europe, Middle East, Africa. Now, tourism and hospitality sector. Again, hotel occupancy down to single digit levels. Air travel's down. Nobody moves. Airbnb and short term lease accommodations down. Uh, Events canceled, mice down. However, there's still that window. We interviewed uh, the number one service apartment provider actually in the world, and they're very much present here in the Philippines, and they're still enjoying about 65% occupancy. Why? Because they have long-term tenants, they have long-term expats who are there, and these are paid contracts, 3 months, 6 months. So even during this lockdown, they're staying there and they're paid. Long-term lease accommodations spared. Uh, Last week, one of my tenants just sent me a WeChat message. She said that she didn't give me post-dated checks. She doesn't have post-dated checks, so she has just to deposit it every month. So last week she said I cannot go to the bank because the bank is closed. Can I deposit online? She didn't have uh was this what she did was she even went to the bank, lined up and deposited to my account. Okay, you might say, oh, why didn't you just have it rent free? Look, I'm also paying for amortization for that, and she's being paid by a Chinese firm, so they have money, so don't have to worry about that. I need the money more. Okay, so long-term lease, uh, long-term lease landlords now are still somehow getting paid. Airbnb is deep, deep trouble, uh, and I don't know until when. I don't know until when. So uh, another thing is that right now restaurants, of course, are suffering. A lot of them are suffering. But one thing you'll notice is that there are restaurants who were prepared. Some were already prepared and has been doing this even prior to the lockdown. But some have immediately adapted. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite, and I think a lot of people's favorite ramen house in the south, in the south, was known for no takeouts, no deliveries. You eat it there. You eat it there. You already know what I'm talking about. And they've closed. And then about a week or 2 weeks ago, they've announced that they all have prepared kits, the ramen kits, and they were overwhelmed with the response. And they never imagined that they will be selling more than when they have their restaurant open. So again, that is adapting to the shift, adapting to the market. Now, why am I still quite confident about Philippine tourism? Of course, uh, we can always rely on the local tourists who did. On record, they said they had about 120 million trips last year. No, I read it in one article. Those are just the recorded trips. So local travel will still be there. Plus, but the thing is, right now, ubos and leaves. Everybody have exhausted their leaves, right? So no more long vacations. So I think a lot of people may not be able to go on foreign trips, Asian trips. So you just have to maximize your weekends, staycations, or short trips. So this will also be very good for our uh, local resorts and local and other local vacation spots. No? And most of these travelers are also the millennials. Okay. Now, on the foreign side, you see, we were almost about to break that 10 million goal. We did about 9.2, 9.4 million last year. But you see, where did they come from? More than half came from Korea and China, South Korea and China. Those are our main tourists. And these are the spending tourists. These are the spending tourists. The US, of course, not only is it not that much, a lot of them also were our relatives who also sometimes stay with us. Okay, and then you have Japan. But look at this, who were the first countries who flattened their curve at an early stage? China, South Korea. China and South Korea. Of course, Australia also. China and South Korea, who's our major tourist, maybe in the next couple of months, they're stabilized. Now, it depends on us now. Are we ready? So it depends on how soon we will go out of this lockout. It depends on how soon we will flatten the curve. So again, once that's the reason why I said once we have flattened the curve, we have a relatively faster recovery period. This were the data I gathered last night. So there's okay. If one tip, uh, I don't know if you're visiting Worldometer. Worldometer. There are a lot of information that you can get there. Population, demographics. Right now, coronavirus real time. They update their data at 12 o'clock every day. So you can see almost real time figures here. See, uh, you will see the countries that are improving and flattening the curve. Unfortunately, Philippines has to work on it. We're number one now in number of cases. Uh, Retiree market, we're not going into that because that's still not a very big market for us. Uh, Philippine retirees, the Philippine retirement age, that's only about 3% of our population. And of course, the Philippine culture, we're not too keen on putting our oldies in retirement homes. Now I said, okay, retires from Japan, retires from Europe. Uh, One, of course, the language barrier, and then people who can afford would want to retire in better places. People who would like to stretch their dollars, of course, that's what we get. Now, this one, there was a very nice uh, webinar done by Santos Knights Frank last Thursday. Uh, Alex, I hope you let me use this this slide that he sent because this also gives us hope. Look, office markets down across the region, but in Manila, uh, it's still balanced. Manila is still balanced, and actually, according to David Lichu, they still have a lot of live transactions, and actually, he's still very bullish towards the fourth quarter, especially in office demand. Industrial markets, industrial markets down across the region, but then in the Philippines, in Manila, is still balanced. Incidentally, you must have heard some news that okay, sabi nila China might lose its reign as the manufacturing capital of the world, and also some news that Japan might be pulling out of China and going somewhere else. Somewhere else. Unfortunately, I was still wondering how come the Philippines was not included in that list. But then you see, the key is to provide a world-class industrial park facility. Once we have that, I think we can attract them. I know of one. There's one in the Clark area being done by Philinvest, the innovation park in the Clark New City. Of course, it's not only world class, but the its accessibility to the seaport and the airport is there. See, incidentally, uh, I'm getting the the details of that one. They sent it to me via email yesterday, and I can forward it to those who would like to have those information, have that information. That's very interesting. If you have locators for light and medium industries, that's going to be very attractive to them. Retail markets across the region down, but in Manila, somehow, for now, still balanced. I think it's because of the mall going culture of the Filipinos. Investment capital markets down across the region. Well, transaction volume, of course, down everywhere. Transaction volume because we cannot move. We cannot move. but demand is still there and still balanced. It's still too early to say if we're already suffering or it's still too early. And if we get out of this lockdown, if we get out of this lockdown and flatten the curve, maybe in about 3 months, uh, we can rebound fairly earlier. Okay. Now, residential markets down across the region, but in Manila, of course, again, transactions down, but again, still balanced in Manila. Remember, we still have that housing backlog. Consumer expectations, their preference would still be now house and lots, and condominiums in the NCR ranks fourth. So, but then the price range is very important. What are they looking for? The bigger market. Yes, we've had condos. We've been selling condos for 7 million, 9 million for studios. Yes, there was a market for that before COVID. Will there still be a market for that post COVID? Maybe. But if you want to be safe, if you're a developer, you want to be safe, go what the market can afford. Adapt to the market, adapt to the shift. If you're a seller, social ka, you want to you only cater to the high end market, well, you might want to also reconsider. You might also want to reconsider. Of course, the luxury market will react very late because these people have enough funds to last them through the crisis, and also they're also the ones looking for very good deals. But then, if you want sustainability, you look for the real demand, not the apparent demand. Again, areas outside NCR, I'll tell you later in the later slides why house and lots will be really quite more in demand outside NCR. Now, what can we expect? Some companies have realized that they can do partial work from home arrangement and thus reduce office space expenses. Pwede naman pala. Pwede naman pala. Who would ever imagine I can talk to uh, 447 people. I can talk to 447 people, present to 447 people in my pajamas. I think a lot of you are also in your pajamas. You see? Sabi nga, baka sa clothing expenses natin will be cut into half because we will just be buying shirts. Minus na yung pants natin. Okay. People before who were still in the fence about doing online transactions have realized that they can trust the system naman para. Other people don't want to purchase online. Other people don't want to order online because takot sila. Now they were pushed to use the system and they discovered that pwede naman pala. And I think this will also help traffic. If you have meetings, just coordination meetings, simple meetings, then you won't have to go through the traffic and just do the Zoom meetings, short Zoom meetings from home. Some people might have to rearrange their spaces at home to have a corner for office. E-government system, where LGU leaders can communicate directly to their constituents through SMS, online business registration, payment of taxes. Late last year, I was fortunate enough to host a forum with four young mayors hosted by the Philippine Chamber of Commerce. And this was discussed by Mayor Zamora, Francis Zamora. He was supposed to implement this in San Juan already, where he can send an SMS to all of the constituents, make the announcements to all the constituents. That's easier now. I think everybody has a cell phone, even the, the poor ones. So can make the announcements, and then payments can be done online na rin. Maybe baka pwede nga pag meron na sila mga let's say pag meron mga aid like this one, and distribution can be done online, deposited to their accounts, or they can claim it through, I mean, Gcash or whatever. Para maiwasan na yung mga pila ngayon. Have you seen the lines? I mean, breaking or violating the social distancing rules. You can expect more groceries and pharmacies to pop up in crowded communities. Walking distance. I mean, if there's one word that we've been hearing every day, essentials. Essentials. So there will be more groceries and pharmacies. You saw the consumer priorities that I showed earlier. On top of their list, ang una mga bibilin, hand sanitizers, alcohols, masks. Even post-COVID. So nandun na sa isip ng tao yun. I think this will already be in our system. Maybe in the next few years, it's very normal to see every single person have either hand sanitizer or alcohol in their bags, wipes. Okay. Modified co-working spaces and co-living arrangements. I think co-working spaces now, especially in short-term lease, are badly hit in short-term contracts, of course, because there's vacancy now. No? And then co-working spaces wherein you're there every day with different people you don't know. Total, you can work anywhere naman pala. Why do I have to spend going there? When you can also work from home. So co-working may be modified. Maybe they'll have partitions na, or hubs. Hubs will be very popular. And then co-living arrangements. In the US, it was already taking off, and actually we were considering that co-living arrangements where you have, when you rent out the rooms, but they have shared kitchen, shared dining, shared bathrooms. But now I think that will have to adapt. No, they want their personal bathrooms and then personal dining and living. So the lesser interaction with the people you don't know, the better. Now, opportunity. Fortunately, real estate usually reacts much later than other investment instruments. And as I mentioned earlier, how are your stocks doing? Your mutual funds, are you happy about that? You have more control of your real estate investment. Sabi nga, of all the real estate, of all investments, the risk is, how do you measure risk? It is the degree of your control with your investments. At least in real estate, you have control. Wala kang, you don't have any tenant now. You can adjust your payments lower temporarily to get a tenant to get you through. Yeah? You have control. The amount you want to sell it for, the amount you want to lease it for. But in other instruments, you have your fund managers managing it for you. You don't have control. Things will never get back to normal. There will be a new normal. Again, during the survey, kanina, what do they want to do after COVID. Eat out, eat out, go out to the malls. The senior ones, they will go to church. They will go to church. They will go to work. They will go to church. As the senior was during the interview. But the young ones, they're excited to eat out, party, and mingle. Of course, more conscious with safety and health. Travel, yes, there will still be travel, but again, for this year, maybe because of the limited vacation leaves that most people have, they may have to settle with local travels. Right now, gas is cheap, but who's traveling? I don't know how long will this stay post COVID. No, I hope this will stay for good, and this will affect the construction costs, which hopefully should resume very soon. Creba has moved to have the construction resume soon. Total, they're confined in one area. They're confined area, and they're not all gathered together. There's social distancing within a construction area. Each worker is not too close together. So, and they're just working within that area. Number one. Number two, no outsiders are allowed to go inside the construction sites. So we will really need that to get somehow to get work going. And then there will be a lot of promos from developers. I know of one developer who, as early as March, has given very big discounts for selected projects and even higher commission rates. And then now most people are now more accustomed to online meetings and transactions. Again, this might even lighten the traffic. Recommendations for the past few years, we were running smooth. We were in fourth gear and fifth gear. No, smooth lang, but we're going uphill now, very steep uphill. So you shift to low gear. You go back to the basics. You adapt to the market. Now, this is a common advice to everyone from every webinar that I've attended. Save your cash. Save your cash. If in real estate, in a normal situation, they say location, location, location. For developers now, it's liquidity, liquidity, liquidity. Right? And now, do you want to invest? There are still some investors there now. So after this, or while you're in, total, we have nothing to do. Right now, you select all the projects, you go through the projects, you go through the real estate options you have in the net, but you think before you invest. When I say think, when you think of timing, when are you going to buy now, or you're going to wait a little more post COVID, or now when they have if you think the price is right now, and then your holding capacity, how long can you hold on to this investment? Information about the investment or business that you're getting into. Another thing is your need, which is your investment objective. Are you going there for capital appreciation or recurring income long term? And then K is knowledge of financial management, managing your cash flow. Okay, so you think before you invest. Your timing, holding capacity, information, need, and knowledge of financial management. So what do we think based on on the feedback that we've been getting? What do you think will be more appealing to the market post-COVID? One, more affordable, if it's a city project, more affordable city projects. Walkable. And I remember when I hear the word walkable, the first architect that comes to mind is architect June Palafox, who has been advocating this walkable cities for the past, what, 15 years, when he's doing this in his master plan, walkable cities. Now, this will lessen the necessity to ride in crowded trains, buses, etc. The purpose of the walkability before was to reduce uh, vehicular traffic, to reduce carbon footprint. But this one is added to that to lessen the necessity to ride in crowded trains, buses, and other maybe shuttle uh, jeeps. No frills. Anyway, look, who's using the swimming pool in your condos now? Who's using the gym? Okay, low density. Again, the lesser people in your building, the better. The better control of crowd. No? More natural ventilation and light. Uh, if you will be working from home, if you will be quarantined, you want a place which has natural ventilation and light. Now, we may see other projects which will have added features. Just an idea. Thought that maybe a disinfecting tunnel. I did the research on the UV light. Forget it. There's the type of UV that might be able to kill the virus will really burn you. It's the UVC. It's UVC. These are the ones used to sterilize the medical equipment. It will burn you. But maybe the mist, or maybe additional maintenance job for building administration for the building maintenance. No? Aside from cleaning, they will have another step, which is disinfecting the common areas, which has to be done not only once a day, but a few times in a day. And this might be a new norm. Small office and home office would be very, very practical right now, especially if they're allowed to operate there really as an office, stay there. And maybe if you want to subsidize your cost, maybe you can even rent out a table. So it will be a, a modified co-working space wherein you limit your coworker, maybe one or two, who will be renting out your desks. See, it will somehow help you with your monthly amortizations or rentals, but still limit the people you're interacting with. Professionally operated service apartments. Again, those buildings, uh, instead of having a simple condotel, which is geared towards the tourists, you might want to consider having it operated by professional service apartments operators. Affordable corporate dorms with individual rooms. Hindi na siya yung dorm na you have 8 or 10 people inside. Maybe maximum two. Maybe maximum two. With individual bathrooms. And most importantly, walking distance to the workplace. Again, last that will be reacting would be still house and lots. With bigger space will still be the preferred real estate. Right now, especially when we have embraced this work from home, just like what I've written in my post in January, when distance may no longer matter because of high-speed internet, the efficient logistics, people would rather work in an environment where you have very nice views, nice open space, fresh air, cool weather. Maybe first thing that comes to your mind would be what? Tagaytay. right? You have everything that you need there. Uh, cool weather, and then very good food, uh, fresh food, lower cost of living, bigger space. And you know what? As I've posted also, the only investment that you made that is working for you right now is a property where you are currently safely quarantined with your family. The property that you are leasing now, giving you passive income, and the property where fruits and vegetables are growing for food. It's real estate. Among all the other investments, real estate is the only thing that God made. God did not make the other money market instruments. God made land. God made real estate. So you're safe for that. Uh, so, and of course, as long as we have internet. Actually, we're very lucky that this, somehow you think about it, what if this happened? What if this pandemic happened prior to the internet? All of us are dead. All of us are dead. So God has plans, and we just have to have faith. We just have to have faith. We started this uh, webinar with a prayer, uh, asking for help because it is only God who can answer all. I mean, who can answer, who can uh, make a stop to all of this. So again, I hope I was able to share some insights with you, and I hope you look at the opportunities that we may be able to take advantage of, and I hope we all remain positive. Let's not feel depressed. What we can do now is to develop ourselves, learn more, learn new profitable skills. How are you going to get out of this lockdown? Are you going to get out fit or fat? Diba? Are you loading yourself with Netflix, or are you improving new skills, or are you learning new uh, or developing your talents? See, make the most out of this lockdown. Nature is healing itself to provide, to serve the people better. Work on yourself to serve the people better, and we will all get out of this well, alive, and hopefully not only survive but even thrive. There's always an opportunity in every crisis. There's always an opportunity. Look for that opportunity. Don't dwell on the crisis. Just pray, 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 and learn. Uh, I think that's it. And I have one announcement. I'm sure one of my very good friends and compadre, uh, Mr. Anthony Leterio, is here with us right now. Uh, I don't see the participants here. And it's quite difficult if you don't see the participants. So he'll be opening up, he'll be launching the Filipino Homes Institute of Real Estate, where there will be offering online short courses on brokerage, rental management, project setting, foreclosure, real estate system, investment analysis. See, uh, all the things that you need to learn about real estate from the front end and also the back end. And this will be done online and with speakers who are accredited also with PRC. Watch out for more details about this. So with that, I hope I was able to share something, and I hope some of you were able to pick up or learn something. If you want more updates, you can check out alejandromanalac.com. And we'll also be sending you some very good information if you need some of the data that we have shared, some of the charts, and also good news. Habitas will be sharing with you also. We have created the zoning maps. The zoning maps nga pala for most of the areas in Metro Manila. You will get the zoning maps. You will get the FAR restrictions there in color coding. Yeah, color coded the zoning maps, so it will be easier for you, and we'll give it to you for free. You can just go to the habitas.com website. So I think I'm ready to entertain a few questions. We're here until 11:30.
Okay, thank you, Sir Andy. For the viewers, should you have questions, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself. Or if there's a chat box, you can type in your questions in the chat box. Questions, anyone? So going once, going twice.
Do you have any? Do you see the chat box?
So I guess, sir, there won't be any questions, and they will just be waiting for the things that you've said a while ago.
Okay. Yes. Uh, Thank you very much. We made it on time. Uh, it was a more casual discussion and not too structured because I really want to uh, share just my thoughts. It's not a very formal webinar anyway. And again, thank you very much for attending and for staying. We still have 426 as of now. Nobody left. Thank you very much. You're an amazing crowd. It's actually quite difficult to talk by yourself and you don't see any faces of people listening to you. Anyway, thank you very much. God bless you all. God keep you safe. Stay home, stay healthy, and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Mr. Alejandro Manalac. You can't go wrong with education. God bless this man for his advocacy of teaching, sharing, making every people in the real estate industry well equipped and prepared. See you again on our next session, and let's end our day with a prayer. Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. In the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, such a wonderful day of learning. Help us and guide us in applying those effectively and efficiently in our career and everyday lives. We also pray for the frontliners battling this pandemic and doing their best to save lives. We hope this war will end soon. To Jesus, through Mary, we
Amen.
give thanks. Amen. In the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So see you again
Bye
on our
bye.
next session.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.